a new age of Last Man In podcast, a new age of Winnipeg. Guys, we're back, Last Man In, episode 14.
Why is it a new age?
Because we have a new mayor. And this new mayor is going to bring in a winning attitude to the
Brian
Winnipeg
Bowman,
Jets.
2014.
Yeah.
Did you guys vote?
Yes.
Did you vote?
I didn't have time.
Okay,
Leave.
Get the hell off our podcast.
Sorry. You're not allowed here.
Okay, it's my host. You guys can.
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
We'll take the road. Take this show on the road.
Yeah, we'll film this in my car. That's fine.
Record this.
Film it.
Film it? No, you're
We're
gonna
gonna
film
film
You're
it.
gonna film a podcast.
Edit.
Gonna...
You could film podcasts. People do it. I see.
I know.
Like they film it, live stream it, and then they just upload the audio after.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
You can actually do a lot of stuff. What we could do is we could get a webcam, put it in that corner, and then it'd be always on my face and never on Dan's.
And then the odd time I'd turn him.
And then odd time, then you do the Parks and Recreation thing where you just look at the camera and you're like,
yeah.
For anyone who watches that show, you know what
like
I'm
a
talking
Aziz
about.
Ansari where he turns his head and he's like, you're just working. And then back to work.
You know what's great is, we're an audio podcast and we're doing video facial expressions.
Oh, yeah, right. So all you hear is like
probably
us
don't translate
and
over very
quiet. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened?
This doesn't work properly.
What happened with the Jets this past week, gentlemen?
What happened?
They still can't score.
Well, they got better. They're getting better.
They
haven't had a good...
Sorry. They played against a team that hadn't won a game yet. I'm just I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Which one of those teams is that? Flames?
You know what?
Canes. They haven't won a game. They're 4-2 now.
4-2. They beat a team that they should beat. If they had a loss, this would have been a lot angrier conversations. So
this is true.
So they went 1-2 this week, the Jets.
Yeah.
Or this past week they went 1-2.
Since the last podcast, they went 1-2.
So I guess dating way back, Jets lost 2-0 to the Preds. Preds controlled the game the whole time. Fun fact about Pecorine: he's 5-0 lifetime against the Jets now.
I wouldn't say Nashville
it.
controlled it.
They shut the Jets down. The Jets carried the tempo, they carried the play, but the Predators shut them down completely. And the Jets had no answer for it.
It was. It's interesting. This Preds team could be very good because they have the defensive system that Barry Trotz taught them with now offensive pressure that Peter Laviolette has brought in. And even though they don't have all the skill there that maybe you might require in the Central Division, they have the system that works for them right now, and that's why you're seeing a success. And it's the same with the Flames, with their 4-1 loss with the Jets. You saw the Flames playing a system that works for them, and they essentially just made the Jets look stupid. Jets controlled that first period. They did. And then Jonas Hiller took over the game.
I don't think Calgary won the game. I think the Jets lost the game.
I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think
Calgary took
way better
advantage
than
of their chances when they had them. Jets didn't.
I think that's a Calgary win, though, not a Jets win.
Well, based on that, it was two completely different teams. Because first period, if it not for Hiller, it could have been 4-5-0 Jets. But I'm just saying, and then second period, it's like a completely. I don't know what happened. That's
a Bob Hartley speech happened.
Well, but
those are powerful.
But even so, like the Jets, they
Well,
they couldn't put pucks to the net. They couldn't forecheck. They couldn't get anything. They couldn't even get out of their own end. I mean, and the first period they looked better in the first period than they looked in that Phoenix game or Arizona game, whatever you want to call it. But
they did look good in the first.
They dominated. Hiller made some really good saves.
Yeah, but when you get what it was there was there was 2 goals back to back in a minute 40.
The thing that killed them, and the thing about the Jets is that I think it was the third goal. Who scored the third goal? Not Gaudreau. Raymond. He had the top corner shot, right?
Yeah.
10 seconds before that. 10 seconds before that. Weidman behind the net getting the puck out. Peluso killed him, and everyone stopped and was like, "Oh wow, that was a big hit," and completely forgot about the play. And he gets in on the net, and Pavlik should make the save, but
that was a nice.
It was a nice shot, but it's not like they lapse. Like a big thing happens, like a big hit or something, and they stop
and watch. Yeah,
yeah, and it's
that's I know this is way back, but dating back to William Nylander's first game, how everyone. The big highlight everyone said was when he could have had his first NHL goal in the preseason where he shot it and he missed and he went to go celebrate and then he realized or he didn't miss, it was post out or something. He put his arms back down and kept hustling. That's what the Jets in an entirety need to do. because like,
Yep.
and that was from a
Stop.
rookie, so that's why everyone's like, holy smokes, he's gonna be something else. Because like, I know me when I think I have a goal, I'm like, oh no, and my arms are still up by the time the other guy's at the blue line, like breaking out.
Well, it's
I-
also because you're
yeah.
slow. And
Well, yeah, there's many
Yeah.
factors as to why I'm not in the NHL.
I heard this on
Cam's
I'm here
reflex
right
is
now.
shot hits the post, and then like 3 seconds later, oh, I scored, and then you just look back.
No.
I heard this on the radio, or not radio, it's your TSN this week. Gary
To
Lawless
be honest,
was,
you don't hit the post.
Yeah, I don't.
Gary Lawless was talking on That's Hockey, and he said that, because they asked him what's wrong with the Jets, and he said it's not a talent problem. It's they don't have a winning hockey team mentality and a winning hockey team work ethic. That comes from playing a winning system and having success, which they haven't had. But I don't think it's a talent problem. Jets have talent. I think it's their mentality, their work ethic. That's their problem.
I think it's partly the media too. When you think about it, going into the season, everybody, whether it was Winnipeg media or national media, they were just shitting on how shitty the Jets are going to be. Mm-hmm. And yes, they're fulfilling that, but that's not what you need to hear, especially from the coach that maybe hasn't gained the confidence of every player. Sure, players are trying to buy into the Paul Maurice system, but it's still we're still seeing growing pains in it, where we don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, because he still has to instill everything on these players, and it doesn't help that he, his plan at the start of the year was going to be Kane, Scheifele, Wheeler, and he hasn't had Kane all year, right? And it's just affecting maybe a bit of their offensive tempo and I'm not a hockey genius by any stretch of the matter. I never think it's right to have 3 of the same hands on the same offensive line. It just plays poorly, in my opinion. And I could count probably half a dozen times where Byfuglien was on that left wing, and if he was left-handed, he would have had a forehand shot in the net. Instead, he's got to adjust so he can be on his forehand.
Are you talking about like him with Scheifele and Wheeler?
Yeah.
Because the last 2 games it's been Perreault.
I know.
That line's been much better.
Exactly, because you have the left hand.
Yeah.
For that pass, because it just sets up weirder if you like. This is why I never understand why Ovechkin plays on the left wing, because
he's shot off faster.
I understand that, but
he loses every board battle ever.
Exactly.
Because he's on his backhand as opposed to the forehand. Yeah. And wait, you mentioning that, I think there's one key point that I was thinking about while you said the 3 shots. There was a point in, I believe it was the second period, where Pecorine kicked it right out.
Yeah.
And Byfuglien was there. Byfuglien was on his backhand.
Exactly.
Because he was going to drive the net. If he was left-handed, that'd at least be an excellent attempt at like pretty much half an open net.
Yeah.
But because he was on his backhand, he had to set up and then kind of just flutter it back at him, and then Rini just saved it and held it for the
that game too. There was a bit of a game changer when it was still 1-0. I think Scheifele got the puck right in front of the net, and he pulled it backhand, and Jokinen kind of hooked him.
Yeah,
and he couldn't get the puck over.
Then
he had the whole top of the net, and so it just kind of went into his pad, and they didn't call a penalty on it. But I mean,
they went back and
they scored shortly after. So I mean, that could have been a game changer. So.
Yeah, it is, and like
they were in the games. I mean, I don't think they played. I mean, the Calgary game they did not play. They played 20 minutes of good hockey and 40 minutes of really, really bad hockey. But
I just want to mention something way off topic for the Preds. Have you guys seen Ole Jokinen's hair?
Oh my god,
it's disgusting.
The rock star hair because he's in Nashville.
That's gross.
It looks awful. He looks like he's dying. Like,
can I just say how happy I am we have Matthew Perreault over him? Like.
Yeah, but Ole Jokinen looked pretty good against the Jets.
Nah, he didn't look good.
See,
James Neal looked good.
The one thing Greg was mentioning about the Preds and how they have a system that works. They've all even under Barry Trotz, they've never ever had like a superstar or anything in terms of like forwards. They've never had really like an A prospector apart from
do now.
Apart from Shea Weber and Pekka, I'm talking on forward, forward.
They do.
Phil Forsberg.
James Neal is a top line forward on any team.
Oh, of course, I'm not. He's the first, like we said it before. He's the first $5 million forward they've ever had. But look now they just have one guy. Like already they have the one guy, and then they have pieces that buy into the system. Like
they made some good, like Derek Roy, Mike Ribeiro, like those guys. A few years ago, those guys were really good hockey players. I'm not saying they're terrible, but I mean, they made some decent additions.
Well, they signed these guys, and they bought into the system, and now it's suddenly like, if they can get, we talked about right before we turned on the podcast, Pekka Rinne, all he needs is a 2-goal lead, and he can win you a game. for sure.
You
Like
know
Greg
what's,
and I
you know
were
what's interesting is you look at the Phoenix Coyotes of 3 years ago when they had Mike Smith and Ilya Bryzgalov. You look at the Predators in their cup, well, not their cup runs, but in all their playoff appearances. All these teams, you know what they have? Pretty good goalie. And normally, if you have a great goalie, you normally have a pretty good team. Not because your skill might not be or might necessarily be there, but because you have the confidence, you have a guy in the back of the net there that if you make a mistake or if you let something go, that he's got your back and he's going to make that save. You look at not the Jets, sorry, pardon me, but I'm going to bring this to the Leafs. If you look at when they made the playoffs in 2013 in that shortened season, it was on the back of James Reimer playing unbelievable hockey. And if you look at the reason why they fell off last year, it was because they weren't getting goaltending.
and when
Jonathan Bernier, when he was playing last year, he was around a 920 all year, 920, 925 in that for save percentage. When Reimer came in, he was around an 862-ish, and players weren't playing with confidence around him. And then you saw that when Reimer would have a good game and he'd have like a 920 or 930, the team would win, but it wouldn't be like... It's a confidence thing, and if the goalie's not playing well, you're not going to do well as a team.
You know what? I can't, just on the goalie front, I can't really criticize Pavlik. Cause
no one can.
Okay, the Calgary game, a couple of those he should have had, yes. But I mean, he hasn't played. But
he's not a great goalie.
He's not a game changer. He's not a guy that can steal you games consistently, but he's done better this year than people had expectations for so far. Granted, it's a small sample size. 6 games. I mean, the Jets, they could finish they could make the playoffs. They could continue to be bad. I think it's too early to say that they're not a good team. There's growing pains. No one expected them to jump right into a new system, new coach, and instantly be a good team. By the end of the year, they might be. You might see a vast improvement, or you might not. And if you don't, you'll probably see some changes. But I mean, it's going to be a process. Like, sure, they might go 2-8 in their first 10 games, but you know.
Got to look at its sample size,
It's
too.
an eighth of the season.
Where were we our first year?
And another point, too, the Thrashers and Jets have always been good starters. Like, they have a good first couple months, and then they teeter off.
Where were we our first year?
First year was not good.
First year...
Like Jets?
We had the division lead at one point, and we started the season 1-4.
Oh yeah, but then and then like we missed out on playoffs off, like we didn't do the greatest, but Florida had something crazy like 18 overtime shootout losses or wins. So they got the extra point pretty much in an extra 18 games, which ended up being by 7 or 8 points.
I think their win total was only 1 or 2 more than ours.
Yeah, but because they had
but
so
they
many
had
more
a lot
losses.
more overtimes. Yeah.
I just want to mention for the goalies how Greg was saying, when you have a good goalie, you're not afraid to make mistakes. When you have Pavlik or not just fine, just any bad goalie or like a goalie on a slump, you're gripping that stick a little harder and you're tense. And when you're tense, you make more mistakes and you tend to rush things out of your own zone. And when you rush, mistakes happen. And just in anything, when you rush, things don't get done properly. Mistakes happen. People get hurt and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens with a bad goalie. You're afraid to cough up the puck because then you're like, oh great, I just gave up a 2-on-1 and he's probably gonna let it in. So it's like you're gripping that stick extra. I know I notice in beer league, like say when I'm playing with a goalie like that I've never played before, like not that I'm worried that I'll give up the puck because I know I always do, but I'm just saying like I'm a lot more worried like, oh, I have to hustle back a lot harder than normal because I don't know how he plays, or like you don't know what's gonna happen when a goalie's on a slump. He could like every goalie goes on a slump, like Lundqvist and Quick and all these guys. They go on huge slumps. Sometimes they've all done it, and then their whole team's at fault. And Greg and I were talking yesterday about the quality of goalies that they were playing against. We went back, like let's go back to like all the way to
Jets
since game 1, Dan, how many goalies have the Jets played against that represented or would have represented their country in the Olympics last year?
So game 1,
Smith did.
Technically, yeah.
They played backups in San Jose and LA.
No, they played Quick in LA.
No, they didn't.
Oh, that's right. They played Jones.
One Jones. So that one for 2.
Rene.
He would have been there, but he was injured.
But he would have been backup.
Did Hiller or was Hiller hurt too?
No, Hiller was there.
Yeah.
Swiss.
He was Switzerland.
Hiller.
Okay.
They didn't play. They played Anton Khudobin. I don't know if he.
I think he was on the
I think
team.
he was on.
No,
But I mean-
he's Kazakhstanian, so he's not
Kazakhstan,
there.
right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, yeah.
But
they've
you
had-
look at the quality goaltenders.
Yeah.
It's
there was
pretty high.
3 and 3.
There was also a good point. If you realistically look at the Jets' first 6 games, they're 2-4. If you look at them, who they played, okay, Phoenix, you'd say, yeah, okay, they can win that game. San Jose, you'd say probably not, so that's 1-1. LA, you'd say probably not, that's 1-2. Nashville, you'd say
That's a toss-up.
Toss up.
probably not, 1-3. Calgary, Carolina, they should beat those teams.
So they should be
3-3. They're 2-4. Not the worst, not the best.
Yeah.
You know,
Any other notes to say
just
on
back
Jets
to the
games?
goaltending
Yeah.
thing, though, about the confidence. It's definitely true, because you saw last year when they played in front of Pavlik, they gripped their sticks tighter. They were hesitant to make a mistake.
Mhm.
But when they played in front of Montoya, because there was that one game against Chicago, he had 23 shots against him in the first period. He only let him 1 goal, stole them the game. I think, and they played with more confidence. They looked like a more confident team when he was in net. So
Yeah, that's true.
confidence, I think, does go a long way.
Any closing words on the Jets before we move on to anything?
Adam
else?
Lowry scored his first NHL.
Oh,
Yeah.
the first man. Oh, how was it? Was it nice? I missed
It
it.
was
No,
a-
it was just tip.
It was a Klitzum point shot, and he just tipped it.
Oh,
I thought it was Frolik because
I
they
thought it
were
was
side by
Frolik, too.
side too, but it was.
I thought it was for Luke too. But a note on that game, on the Canes game, Klitzum came in for Party. Keep Klitzum in over Party. Holy shit, did Klitzum look good last night? Or not last night, but
The
Tuesday
other
night.
night. Yeah.
Oh no, I would agree.
He
Yeah.
he looked great. And Trouba just keeps... Trouba had a rough start, I felt, to the season, but boy, is he looking good now. He's
He
hitting
looks-
guys. And
He's carrying the puck with he has no he can take the puck from behind the net, get a rush, get a shot no problem.
What
Yeah.
game was that against? I keep seeing
Carolina.
That. Okay,
He laid
yeah,
out
I
a
saw that
couple
highlight on
guys.
TSN. Where they're like, yeah, watch this, and he like kind of just like swim moves someone like from right in front of the Jets net, and then he just goes and then gets. He almost actually like he had a really good.
He makes it
chance.
look effortless,
Yeah.
which is what the good players do.
Yeah.
Shifley too. I've noticed a big improvement from last year. Last year he got pushed around a lot.
He's a lot
He
stronger.
doesn't
on
get
his
pushed
skates.
around much,
Yeah.
and his shot has gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
Couple notes about what I saw. Like I was at the Carolina game. A couple things I saw. Bogo and Toby look bad right now. Like Bogo doesn't look that great, and neither does Toby. And Ladd looks. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if he's injured, but he's a step or two behind everything. Even though he scored, he's still a step or two behind right now. And he looks. Either age is catching up to him, which it really shouldn't, but he's looking a little
Like had a shorter off season is what you're saying.
maybe. I don't
He
know.
doesn't look as impact. He hasn't made an impact, and it's been 6 games.
Does it look? I see. That's another thing. Like because I know it's been 6 games, but it's like nowadays in the NHL you have to come to training camp ready to earn your spot and whatever. Not that he hasn't already earned it, but just back to the Trouba thing. I was talking to a few people and they were saying, "Oh, Trouba's not looking very good this year," and I was thinking, okay, because last year we had no expectations of this kid because we didn't really know who he was apart from when we were juniors. We're like, wow, okay, he did good in juniors, which is fine. Lots of people do good in juniors, but it's a transition. He came in and went. He played great. Like in between his injuries, he played amazing. So the expectations, we set the bar pretty high as fans. And now coming back, like the first couple games, he wasn't doing as good as he normally did. But now that he's finally coming into it, we're saying, oh, he's doing great again, which is just. I get that for Trouba or for anyone really, just I don't get how like we as fans can get on them so fast now. Like it's just ridiculous.
It's partially media driven because the media here is very very tough on them. But
Okay.
I think they do. You know, they expect him to be Norris Trophy candidate right now, and he's not. But I mean, he's the best defenseman on the team.
I would
know,
say
bar
consistently
none.
he's. You know what? But
Him and Stewart are consistently
I was gonna say
our
him,
best.
Stewart.
Yeah.
You know who's one that like we don't say good things, but we don't say bad things, which I think is the perfect defenseman in terms.
You don't notice him either.
Paul Postma.
Not bad.
I used to dislike the postman, but
Yeah, me
he's,
too.
Honestly, the Jets, like even Party, like, he got yanked, but he didn't play bad.
Yeah.
He's been fine.
Mhm.
I can't really complain. I mean, yeah, Bogo's not. That's another thing too. I think the expectation of Bogo is so much higher, and he's not hitting it, so that's causing people to look.
Well,
at it
that'll
negatively,
come with
but
being drafted. What 4th overall?
I honestly like Toby. Like he's good. Like he's skilled. He's talented. He's just so small. I can see him if they can work out a trade where they can get another defenseman back for him, I could see that being done
I'm surprised
sooner than later.
I'm surprised they didn't try and like swing. Like I know it's kind of a cut, so we might have had to. We probably would have asked for like a pick or something as well. But like Johnny Boychuk or Nick Leddy, I know we talked about that, but like maybe not Leddy.
Boychuk's the one that they
maybe
should
not
have.
Leddy because then
They
he's
went
going
after
to the
Leddy.
West.
They went after Leddy.
They made a pitch to Leddy, but Chicago didn't want. It was strong, but Chicago didn't want to trade within their division, which I mean makes sense. But
Yeah.
I would love to know what the pieces were.
Johnny Boychuk got.
Paul Postman would have been one of them.
Johnny Boychuk has 6 points in 7 games.
Oh,
The Islanders are doing, but I mean,
Islanders won again last night.
yeah,
fun.
that's that's the guy the Jets should have, because I don't think he had a no trade clause or anything like that either.
Oh really?
But it's
Yeah,
about what the
but-
Sabres would trade. Or not Sabres, Bruins.
That's
But the thing is like, the Bruins took a ton of picks because they needed to fit it into their cap. And it's what could we have given them that they would have chomped at the bit at. And personally, I don't think it's a good idea. Like, they wouldn't have we couldn't have traded a guy like Toby or Bogo because their contract's too much, and we would have had to retain salary.
Yeah.
Which is not a trade you want to make, and that's probably why Cheveldayoff didn't do it. And then Cheveldayoff, probably the Bruins would have taken a first and a second for Johnny Boychuk, but the Jets aren't going to give up their first
They
this
took
year
a
or
second and a third from the Islanders. We could have given them, and our draft picks.
Whoa!
They, like, I don't
There's
wanna-
a second and a third.
Second and a third is what they gave up.
So
I'm
the
pretty
Islanders
sure.
don't have a pick in the first 3 rounds this year.
What happened to their first? Was that Vanek?
They had to give it up. They were
They
either
gave it to
last year or this
Buffalo.
year, and they kept it last year to draft.
Okay.
Yeah.
But,
I know who it is.
Hosang?
Hosang, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, but you look at that team. They're in the East. They'll be one of the top 2 or 3 teams at the end of the year. I think.
Yeah.
I wasn't sold on it at the beginning of the year, but I didn't really realize the roster they had.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
they might not need it. They might be okay. And
Yeah.
all the players they have are young too. Like they're only going to get better.
Then again, also, like, say if the Jets somehow swindle the deal and we, like, somehow got Toby, Boychuk, and, like, to fit it under both caps, even if we got a pick from the Bruins, realistically, that's a bottom 10 pick for sure. Like,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah.
What I was just going to say about Boychuk before we move on. Boychuk, I didn't check on his game if he played last night, I'm not sure, but the last time I checked this stat, Boychuk had 6 career power play points leading into this year. In the first 5 games, he's got 5 career power play points already. And apparently him and Nick Leddy are friends. Like, we're friends before, and now they ended up on the same team.
Yeah.
And they are already talking to both of them, allegedly,
Yes.
about contracts.
Boychuk is open to staying, but apparently they also think he'll get up to $6 million a
Boychuk?
year. So
The
if you were the Jets, would you pay him that much? Because you're already gonna have in the next 2
If
years
you
you're
can
gonna
get
have to pay. You're gonna have to pay Trouba
and
Shifley.
Shifley.
realistically $7 or $8 million. Well, I mean, depending how it goes.
Bridge contract,
If they have
hopefully.
bridge contracts,
I
but
hope.
if they have a Johansson problem, I mean, in the next let's say the next 4 or 5 years, Trouba and Shifley probably $7 to $8 million each, if they keep trending.
Okay, if they keep,
Well, if
I'm hoping bridge contract, and it's that show me what you're worth.
If Trouba develops to what they think he's going to be, he'll be a $7 8 million defenseman.
But here's the thing. Okay, let's say the Islanders playoff team. I don't think any of us can argue that they're probably going to be a playoff team this year.
Mm-hmm.
They've got
Yeah.
the goaltender. They've got the players there. They might make it to the Eastern semifinals. So like, just make it. They'll play like Pittsburgh and probably lose before they make it to the conference finals.
Islanders?
Islanders, let's say, like, they'll win their first round and then they'll lose in the second round. Let's just say that happens. Would Johnny Boychuk rather stay in New York,
Where he is the guy on defense.
where he is the guy, or take let's say New York Islanders offer him 6.5, or does he take $6 million to go back to Boston? Because Boston, and he even said he's very open to going back.
He also said, I was reading a thing, he said that he'd be open to staying where he is because he thinks he thinks the next 5 years Islanders could be not a dynasty, but he says the next 5 years are going to be
They've already been making the right pieces.
incredible
for
years
sure.
for that. Like, they could
Is
win a
Reinhardt
cup.
on their team?
Who?
Griffin Reinhardt, is he on their team
I
yet?
don't
I
so.
think
Did he
he's
make
either
it?
the 7th defenseman or
Yeah.
he's in the A, but he's too old to go back.
Oh,
so
okay.
I believe he's on the roster.
If they keep trending, in the next 5 years, they could win a Stanley Cup.
Oh, speaking of
I
that statement.
I would not put that out of the Out of the question.
Speaking of that statement, the new, soon-to-be new owners are basically speaking on the team now, and Ledecky, or is that the wrong? Yeah, Ledecky and the other gentleman, I'm sorry, forget your name. They were interviewing him saying, "Oh, what do you have to say to the fans?" And he's like, "Just make it short." And he's like, "5th ring." That's what he said.
Hey,
Expect that.
It's not out of the question.
They didn't say in years or anything. They just said, "What are you going to tell the fans to expect?" And he just said 5th ring.
If they keep
I'm
trending,
getting goosebumps.
It's not.
I would not mind seeing that. I would cheer that. I'd be a team to cheer for the. Hey, pending the Jets don't make playoffs, I'd cheer for the Islanders as long as they don't run into Philly, because then I'd have to cheer for Philly.
Well, Philly might not even be there. Not to burst your bubble, but they don't look very good.
You know what? The one thing have you seen Philly's first 10 games?
No.
They're literally against. There's one. Oh God, I'm trying to think. Who did they play? No, you know what? Pretty much every team they've played is going to that so far or coming up in the first 10 games is a playoff team. And it's like the gauntlet. It's like they've already played Pittsburgh. They've already played. Oh God, I'm terrible. I'm trying to think. Now I'm drawing blanks on top. Basically, their first 10 games was like the gauntlet. So it's like they're going to be an interesting team to watch the next 72. But for right now, they're just making it. They're just trying to stay afloat.
Is that a bad sign though that they can't beat playoff teams, because they are a playoff team, should be a playoff team, and they can't beat other playoff teams?
They'll turn it around. They'll be fine. They always have. They've had slow starts the last couple of years.
Who's their coach?
Berube.
Craig Berube. Or Berube. If he's French, I'm not sure, but I don't think he has the accent.
I don't know if you saw this week, but the Flyers are shopping Braden Shen.
Yeah, well, that's because he's underperforming.
They're shopping Braden Shen, Luke Shen, and Braden Coburn.
Best trade. I still think that's
they're definitely
one of the
not
best
shopping
trades.
Coburn. He's been hurt, so you can't trade.
No, he's.
Where'd you hear this? Because I'm on Flyers all the time.
Fourth period.
Yeah, fourth period garbage.
Fourth period is not somebody.
Personal opinion. I'm sorry. Everything. Just me, Cameron Holm. My opinion. Everything I've read from fourth period about the Jets has been false. 2 days before.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just telling you what they said.
Yeah.
They said he's on the block.
2 days before Bogo signed his contract with the Jets, he said Bogo wants out. He does not want to be there. He'll never sign long-term contract. And then he never eats his own words, ever.
But
ever.
NHL media doesn't think anyone wants to play in Winnipeg, so.
Yeah. Well, Braden Shen, the reason that they were wanting to trade him is because he has been underperforming, but he's creating, I know he's not scoring or anything, so yes, that's underperforming, but, on the chart, not Corsi chart, but, chances generated and created, he leads the Flyers right until now, basically. But what they're doing with Shen, they're moving up and down the lineup, so he's only played... Or now he's played 3 games on the top line with Giroux and Voracek, and they're moving him up and down the lineup. So it's like if you're on a different line every night, obviously how are you supposed to create? How are you supposed to even get chemistry? No, these guys.
To be fair, though, the good players
Luke Shen's
can
always been on
create
the
no
block.
matter where they play.
Yeah,
but there is something to be said about chemistry at the same time.
Oh no, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's not a game changer, but he's a good hockey player.
Since we're on the Flyers, I'll just mention their 2 injuries right now: Braden Coburn and Andrew McDonald, now out 3 to 4 weeks. So on to that Braden Shen thing. Can you trade a hurt player? I don't think you can.
No, you can't.
If he's on IR.
Okay, well then it would not surprise me. Luke Shen's always been on the block. I said that a couple seconds ago. But Shen and both.
I just want to say, to interrupt you, I am so glad that Philadelphia traded for Van Riemsdyk.
Philadelphia's they're not patient.
For Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Philly's not patient.
They're not patient with prospects whatsoever. We've seen that time and time again. But what I was going to say was because Coburn and McDonald are out for 3 to 4 weeks, and that's a second pairing only, and it's really they don't have 1-2. They just kind of have there's Streit and Grossman, and then they have Shen and who's in there right now? I'm just trying to think. Either way, because they're one of their full pairings are gone, would not surprise me if Braden Shen and or Luke Shen or a package involving one of those 2 players or both gets traded for a defenseman that maybe. I don't know. They'll probably get fleeced, but they need a
you
D
think
now.
So?
I don't know. I don't think Hextall is in the mindset of. See, Holmgren is. I'm trading this guy. Okay, I have 2 days to trade him. I will accept the best that comes in 2 days because he's impatient and whatnot. What we've learned from the last couple of years, at least in trades.
Possibility for that are apparently Dennis Weidman. Calgary's looking to get rid of him. So.
Oh, they would.
You could. I mean,
Money
he's
wise,
Brayden Schenn?
Calgary would.
not for both. That's,
Calgary would get so much better just
Yeah.
No,
getting
Calgary
Brayden
would
Schenn.
have to.
Wow,
Someone
yeah.
would have to hold. Calgary would have to hold salary because.
and they'd probably have to give
Oh,
up
yeah.
more than that for. It'd take more than Weidman to get both of those guys. They'd have to give up a forward or
Oh,
or
of course,
something.
but I'm not out of the. That's what I'm saying is players like that Flyers don't shy away from. Like, I mean, we see Weidman, we're like kind of overpaid, but he'd say if he
was an
say if
all-star
they say if
3
they
years ago.
oh of course say if they held salary, then maybe like even on the Jets, it'd be you know what I wouldn't be against.
You know
it.
what? And I
But-
was just thinking that him and Toby, they make about the same. If you could swap them, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Who?
Weidman
Toby
for
and
Toby.
Dennis Weidman.
He's a bigger body. He's a top pair defenseman.
But then I
He makes
totally
about the
agree with
same.
that. But then my counter argument to that would be where does that first pass come from? And not that Dennis Weidman isn't offensive, but Toby is a little more offensive than Dennis
So you
Weidman.
could-
So then you have to kind of swap up the lines a little
You
bit.
could throw
to see
Trouba
that.
on that top pair.
Of course,
He's, you know, I mean, they're options, right?
Yeah,
But
but-
I'm just saying, he'd be a better Western Conference defenseman than
Yeah,
Toby.
I won't be
You know.
I won't be surprised in the next month if like McDonald and Coburn they don't progress and get better, maybe come back a little earlier. That Hextall won't be looking for that trade because Shen's been on the alleged block since like halfway through last year.
It's a month into the season. I'm surprised he hasn't made a trade yet.
You know what's interesting, guys?
It's Hextall, not Holmgren.
That's
They're
As
bringing
we,
Hexy back.
as we head into the NHL mailbag,
Mhm.
there is also a team that might potentially be looking for a defenseman, considering that they had to trade one away, and their best defenseman just got hurt. That would be the Boston Bruins. They had to get rid of Johnny Boychuk, who was a top 4D, and Zdeno Chara is now out. And if anyone's watched Boston Bruins hockey this year, notice that Zdeno Chara looks terrible.
Has
Like,
he?
he looks out, like, I don't know if he's
How
out
long
of
is
shape.
he out for?
He's out 4 to 6.
4 to 6.
PCL tear. So
What is that?
posterior. It's a ligament in the back of your knee. It's torn. It's not. It's a slight tear. It's not a complete tear.
Oh,
so
that was
that's
his
why.
hit on Tavares the other day?
Yeah.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Last night.
But
Oh, okay.
who would they have? They'd have to give up something pretty good to get a good defenseman, though.
But like that's
a
the
lot
thing
of
is they would
prospects.
need to find. Well, yeah, they're gonna have to, but they're gonna need to find. I think they're already finding an issue with filling Johnny Boychuk's spot because they sure they still have Seidenberg and Chara or Seidenberg Chara. They still have Hamilton, Krug, but
They don't really have a.
That's young, though.
The
That's
three
young.
guys you just Seidenberg's more defensive than he is offense, but the other two
are way more offensive.
way more offensive. Dougie Hamilton's a big boy though, so he can stop. But it's like they don't really have that guy to clear the net and to just like get. You don't want to go down when you look up and you don't. I'd rather go down anyone but Chara's wing. Anyone
But
but
it
Chara.
seems
If
it
it's Chara
seems
Weber,
now-
I'm not crossing the blue line.
It seems now, though, that Chara's lost that edge where, because he's slower, right? And teams are figuring out that, well, I'll just put a fast guy there, and Chara's not going to be able to get him.
Yeah, dump and chase.
Dump and chase and
Blow
you win.
past him on the wing.
And it's crazy. And maybe Boston's losing some of their...
Teams are starting to use Chara's. Teams are starting to use speed to their advantage with Chara because he's slowed down.
Well, the entire
I-
team's not very fast. If you think about it, they're a big team.
If you think about Boston, yeah, like that's the thing with Boston. Like, there's no superstar. They have 4 solid lines. They're not fast, but they punish you and they play physical defensive hockey, and it wins.
You know what's
And they
funny,
also
though?
have one of the best goalies in the NHL too.
When
So.
Of course.
That's never won anything other than business. Like if you
Other
think,
than, yeah, no,
Yeah,
no,
but like
He's
no,
got a
that's
cup
true.
ring. He was the backup.
But
No,
the
I know,
team has
but-
never won under Tuukka Rask. If you look at it, so in 2010 he was the goalie in net for that 3-0 collapse against Philadelphia. Then Tim Thomas comes in. They win the cup in 2011. 2012, they lose to Montreal, I believe.
I'm drawing a blank right now.
I don't
I'm
remember.
trying to blank as well.
Okay, well we'll go with
Then-
that.
No, 2012. I don't remember.
Neither do
They
I.
made playoffs.
They
Yeah.
beat.
For
I think they
sure.
beat Montreal, and then I think
Oh
they lost to,
no! So
They lost to New Jersey
No.
Rangers,
well,
Washington Caps.
they lost to the Caps first round.
Joe Ward.
Yeah.
Right. The
And then-
racist.
Yeah. Okay. So he was in net for that.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, they lost to Chicago in the Cup final. Once again, Tuukka couldn't win it. And last year they lose to Montreal.
Whoa, hey.
So are you suggesting that
Like
they,
he's a great goalie, but he's never won anything. So people saying that he's Like, it's like the
There's
kind
lots
of
of great goalies that never won anything, though. Luongo, Lundqvist.
No,
No,
of
but,
course,
like,
but he's
I'm
saying
just-
when it comes
Yeah,
down
no,
to
yeah.
crunch time,
Like,
I
Tuukka
wouldn't say-
Rask isn't that great of a... Like, he's a good goalie, but he's not that great. The other thing I want to say about Boston is it seems when teams use their speed and use... The ways to beat Boston are use your speed and kind of get under their skin a little. Like a Brendan Gallagher would do, or like a Leo Komarov did in the playoffs. Like when Toronto forced it to Game 7, they started playing non-Boston Bruin hockey. They started playing Toronto hockey where they were using their speed, they were using their guys, and they were being gritty, but they weren't trying to fight and out-muscle the Bruins, and that's what Montreal does, and you see how much success Montreal has against Boston, and causes certain players, not going to name names, to do obscene gestures.
and get
At
fined
fans.
$5,000. Milan Lucic. I will say it, Greg. Don't worry.
I'm sorry, that is kind of funny.
No,
That
but
was funny.
They found Montreal found how to they played a style of Boston hockey,
Yeah.
but with Montreal speed, and they figured out Boston. They have their number now.
Boston,
They got it.
Boston is the most beatable powerhouse team in the NHL.
Oh, they are so beatable. And you know what? You know what's funny? The best rivalries that we've seen have been Boston, Montreal over the last 5 years. There was that one game, I think it was 2-3 years ago, when the fights were everywhere. Like,
Okay.
I don't remember it, but like everyone was fighting.
The best rivalries are when Boston is losing and they get mad because that's when the games get chippy and that's when it gets fun.
Well, that Boston-Vancouver Stanley Cup
you know
series
what?
was still one of the best Stanley Cup series.
Best
I thought.
playoff series I've ever seen still, though, Philly-Pittsburgh from 2012.
Oh, that's good.
best-
Oh, where
series
Sean
ever.
Couturier shut down of Jenny Malkin and got a hat trick in the same game, and they're like, "Hey!"
The fights,
How
though.
about- no,
The first
yeah,
two games,
there
there was a
was
fight
playoffs.
every shift. There was a
Wasn't
fight.
there a 9-8 game in that series?
Yeah, and then the next game, 9-8 Pens, and then the next game it was like 7-2 Flyers.
Yeah.
Or something around there. That was ridiculous. Like all the analysts are like, "Well, I mean, it's just a system. The system will break down." And and like they were freaking out. They're like, "I don't know how to deal with that. My brain is."
If I remember correctly, yeah, like
That was a great series.
the first two games, I think Philly put up 8 goals in each game, and then in one of the games, Pittsburgh scored 10 goals, but they got completely dominated for the rest of this. It made no sense. There was fights every. The first two games, there was more penalty minutes than minutes played. Like
That was a game. There was one of the
It was
games in the
ridiculous.
series. I think it was game 3 or 4. Where like, no, that was the game. Okay, I'm not sure which game it came in, but that was like every time they show Crosby and Giroux like clips in the dressing room, like how they hate the other person. It's from that series. Like Crosby's like, I don't even like anyone on their team. I don't like anyone. And like Talbot was on the Flyers, I believe. And
No,
like,
I think he was still. I
Okay.
think he was still a Penguin at the
either
time.
way, Giroux, like, they were like, "Oh, what do you say about Crosby says he doesn't like anyone on the other team?" And Giroux's like, "Good. I don't give a shit about him either." Like, he didn't say shit, but he's like, "Yeah, good. I don't care either." And then they're like, "What are you
don't
going to
like
do
him
about it?" And then Giroux's like, "You'll see. Next game, opening faceoff."
Yeah.
Giroux loses
Oh, yeah.
wins a faceoff, but they go to dump it in just over the blue line. Crosby, like, goes to grab it, and Giroux just bam, and like just like he pretty much yard sells him. But he doesn't. He sends him airborne. Is what he does. And then Giroux like stands over him. You could totally tell Giroux's like beep 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 beep, and then like just sweat, and then like he just grabs the puck. Oh god, that was amazing.
you're always safe doing something to Crosby because he's never going to do anything back to you.
Oh, that's another thing. Crosby.
You have
tried
to keep you have to keep looking over your shoulder because someone else is going to get you. But
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Crosby
He
tried
won't do
starting
anything,
something
but-
with Braden Shen, and Braden Shen's like, "Do it," and Crosby like punched him right in the chin, and then Shen's like, "Oh yeah," and then he went to go grab him, and the ref like came flying. And he's like, "Not Sydney," and like he grabbed it, and then you see Hartnell coming in, and then everyone like every time they played each other.
that was the
great.
best series.
That was one of the
Oh, I was gonna
Okay,
say-
not in terms of hockey, of close competitive games. Just the entertainment value was.
Speaking of, they just played each other. The Flyers won 5-3. They got an empty net goal, but the Pens had a really late push. Excellent game. Couturier, just want to say, I figured out a nickname for him because someone else is smart enough to think about nicknames. Last year, I missed it, on PhillyFanatic.com, I believe that's where it came from. They had shirts, The Wolf of Broad Street, and they had Sean Couturier with a beard, but like cartoonized on it, wearing a suit. So
clever.
Sean Couturier, the Wolf of Broad Street, he had a goal, 2 assists in that game. But what I want to mention about that was Penguins unveiled their new third jersey 90s retro
I love
throwback.
it.
Beautiful.
They're nice, eh?
They're beautiful.
Oh, mama, they're real nice. I like them.
Other thing that Pittsburgh did, which I have to say
go
was
ahead.
very honorable, is they played the O Canada after what happened at Parliament Hill on Wednesday, was it?
I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just awesome. And
No, wait,
if
it
you're
was,
classy
it was Tuesday because there's the night of the election.
No, it was
no, it was Tuesday. It was Wednesday.
It was Wednesday.
Wednesday was the night of the
Sorry.
election.
Yeah. Okay. My bad.
Yeah.
very
And because
very
Toronto
classy.
and Ottawa were supposed to play and that game got postponed, thank you NHL for doing that. That was the right play. If you're Roger Goodell, you probably would have still played the game.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. But yeah, if you're listening to this and you're from the United States, thank you and you've supported Canada. Thank you for all your support. It's awesome.
Yep.
And we appreciate it greatly.
Yeah.
But back to this Flyers Pittsburgh series. Let me just read you the scores.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we
Good.
go.
April 11th, 4-3 Philadelphia over Pittsburgh in overtime.
Yeah, I remember that.
Flyers 8-5 over Pittsburgh.
That was a Hattie game for Couturier.
And then Flyers 8-4 over Pittsburgh.
So it's 3-0 at this point.
3-0.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh 10-3 over the Flyers.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Pittsburgh beats Flyers 3-2. And then series ends Flyers 5-1.
No,
Because I don't know if you guys-
consistency.
You ask a lot of people though, like
But
even
I don't know if
just
you guys
us, go,
remember this though. Was Vokoun came in net in game 5 or in game 4? It was Vokoun. Like last 3 games were played by Vokoun.
Oh, because that was at the beginning. Like
That was when Fleury's playoff struggles were.
starting to show.
Oh no,
a lot,
sorry, I'm wrong.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I'm wrong. It was Marc-Andre Fleury all the way through.
Oh, was
Was
it?
it?
Yeah.
But that's still like
he did not
Fleury-
play good in that series.
I think
And then
that's when
Ilya
people.
Brizgalov.
That series is where like Fleury already like. Okay, wait, what year was that? 2010.
That was 2012.
2012.
2012.
2 years
Sorry.
ago.
So that was right around the time that like I think Fleury hadn't done anything in the years prior.
3 playoff series.
It'll
Almost
be-
4
It'll
playoff
be
series.
3 years ago, yeah.
No, 4.
Well, if you're counting playoffs, yes.
4 that would be 4 years of playoffs.
3 calendar years this year.
Yeah, but no one cares about calendar years. They care about playoff
Calendar
years.
years don't matter.
Okay, wait. What are we talking about years?
I don't
Pittsburgh.
I'm confused.
Just talking about Pittsburgh.
Okay, no. That was like right around like the threshold of where Fleury had. They were like, "You better win, or he's going to lose his job." Like all the analysts, where he lost, and then that series happened, and like after every game, they're like, "Oh, Fleury's awful," or "Oh, I think who was in net for Flyers, Bob or
Ilya
was it
Brizgalov.
Briz?
It was
Universe.
Mr. Universe.
Yeah, and they were
When
like,
his tailspin into
it was funny
obscurity
though
began,
because
too.
whenever that happened, they're like, "Oh, that's Briz, that's just what happens." And it was like they were all over Fleury, and even now, like the new GM, who's the new GM? Rutherford.
Rutherford.
He said said earlier
As long
this
as I'm
week.
GM,
Yeah.
P-
He gave him a
Marc-Andre
vote of
Fleury
confidence, yeah.
is my goalie. As long as I'm GM.
So,
But just to Briz, in the last 3 years, how bad? He went from like arguably the best goalie in the league to he can't even get a
Into a
job.
defensive system.
He can't even get a
you
job.
guys, can
though.
I just mention something
Like-
because we're already on these teams? What happened? Philadelphia happened. Let's go back in time. Who's a pretty good goalie on Columbus?
Bobrovsky.
Yes. Where did he play? Did he play anywhere before Flyers or did
No,
Flyers?
no
find him?
Flyers.
Okay, so Bobrovsky, and then there was Bobrovsky, Briz. Oh no, it was Briz, then Bob, and then they
can
were
flip
like,
it
"Oh,
around.
Bob, bam, we'll just keep him. See a Briz would buy out because thanks Holmgren, that's awesome." And then they were like, "Oh, but Bob has lost a few games. Come on, Steve Mason, see you later, Bob." And now we have Steve Mason and Ray Emery. They said they were never going to get Ray Emery back again, and they got him again.
And
Come
you
on.
have to keep in mind, Steve Mason, first year in Columbus, he was really good. Since he went to Philly, he's piss awful. I'm
He won
sorry.
he had one good year and he won the
Yeah,
Calder
he's
Trophy
been, yeah.
He had an excellent, great rookie year,
brought Columbus to the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
and-
then they got swept,
of course. And then
as is tradition.
Story of.
he was playing
Hey,
like
they've won a playoff game now. We still haven't.
he was playing quite, and I'm going to use this word now that I understand it, pedestrian, and that means like if we were to play with these guys, make us look
Look at the
ridiculous.
big words coming
He was
out of
looking
camp.
quite pedestrian at the start of the
Spell
year,
it.
and then he's like Pedestri.
wrong.
Yeah.
No, I think you got it right.
I think you got it wrong.
Okay,
I don't
however, pedestrian. He was playing pretty average at the start of the year, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, right, I need a contract." So he started playing good, and then they didn't even wait till the end of the year to sign him. They were like, "Yep, 3-year contract. Here you go." Halfway through the year, I was like, "What are you doing?
So you have
What?
him for
Stop it!"
So you have him for 3 years, including this year.
This is year one of the new contract.
Yeah.
So 2 more years after.
I
This.
still think my favorite Ilya Brizgalov, like before the 24/7 thing, was when Winnipeg beat them 9-8 in that game. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like the best game ever.
I remember because Dan and I both worked that night, and then we hung out and Dan recorded it. So, like, we were watching with a couple people, and they both knew the score of the game, and we're like, "Don't tell anyone!" Like, I shut my phone off that night. And I'm just like, "Dan, I will be ready at 9:30. I will be waiting at my door. I'm not turning my phone on, so don't text me because my phone has updates and I don't want to.
Oh,
I
yeah.
know someone will ruin it for me because I'm a terrible person. I ruin it for people. But, yeah, that was just a great game. In
I imagine
I was watching it with
I imagine
James, and
them
we were
being
just like,
yeah.
What is happening?
I imagine
everything is happening.
I imagine them being able to watch our reactions was more entertaining than them actually watching the game.
Probably because we were like, oh my god, the Jets. At one point, weren't they losing 3-1?
They were winning 3-1.
Okay.
They were winning. They were winning 6-1, and
I don't think it was it 6-1?
6-2. At one point, they were winning 6-2, and then at one point they were losing 7-6.
Yeah.
What the fuck? How do you do That's how shitty our team was year one.
Yeah.
By the way, they did a comparison.
Oh, God, yeah.
Before game 1, they showed our lines from the first game 3 years ago, and our lines now. Okay, I know that our records have not improved. Our talent has significantly improved since year 1.
There's still that
What game were you talking about?
Well, no, for the home opener.
Oh,
the
okay.
inaugural year, and then they compared it to this year's. Like, our second line was Wellwood, Antropov, Brett McLean in year 1.
Yeah,
That was our second
buddy.
line. Our fourth line this year,
Brett Mack.
Peluso, Slater, Thorburn, our fourth line is better than that line.
Trivia question:
I
what
mean,
number did
it's
Brett
just-
McLean wear for the
25.
25.
Wow.
We're Jets fans here.
Trivia question, does he still play hockey?
Maybe in the K.
No, he had like a stroke or a heart attack or something, and he couldn't
Oh,
play.
right,
Speaking of
that's
that.
terrible.
Yeah.
Nate Thorne might never play hockey again.
Yes, he
Yeah.
has a degenerative lumbar spine problem.
Which is
I
what?
like how you looked at your
Lower
lock
back.
screen. Dan's just like, I'm gonna look at the notes.
'Cause
Wait, I'll just look at
'cause-
my lock screen.
I was gonna open it up and then I remembered, yeah, lumbar spine, lower back.
That's
But degenerative.
Degenerative
means
means his spine is like
how does that?
weakening, like it's like breaking down.
How does that?
So if he
happen?
gets hit, he could be paralyzed or something.
He might. I mean, he might. Like he can barely skate.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So he's actually never gonna play again.
Well, okay, he's right now. He's just constantly in pain.
Oh, but how
Like,
would you
all
even
the time.
fix a degenerative surgery? Maybe.
The article I read
I will
said
give him my spine.
there's surgery, but it's not guaranteed that it'll work.
Oh, that's scary.
So it's
So
very,
that's why Boston got rid of him because he doesn't have a spine.
Greg.
Or
Wow.
maybe maybe they got
That
rid
was
of
the
maybe
worst.
they got rid of him because they don't have a spine because he's crippled and they got rid of him. They're like,
No,
fuck
you can't have two on one team.
They're like, fuck, who else?
Get it. Get it.
Oh,
Mark Savard.
Oh,
I'm joining you on that board, Greg. Let's go. Let's get kicked off this island. Oh my god.
ah,
Oh
maybe,
jeez.
yeah. Sad
Uh,
news, but
Any other injury newses or anything? like
newses.
that? Yep,
Any
news.
more newses?
some trade rumors.
Okay.
Tyler
Trade
Myers.
Trade bait.
Tyler Myers
Trade
is
bait.
on the.
No, it's a trade bait song.
It's a trade bait song from TSN. Do you not remember
don't
Jane
care.
Andrew?
Trade bait, trade
The
bait.
best. I was watching it the other day. Like I was just watching stuff on YouTube,
Yeah.
and my favorite one was like when Dan tried to do it instead of Jay, and like Jay always had this like good like trade bait beat to it, and Dan tried to do it, and he's just like trade bait. I can't do this. Jay's better. Trade bait. trade bait. You got Luongo, and then he'd like list all the guys off, and it was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Watch that clip on YouTube. Go type in
Trade bait.
Jay and Dan trade bait.
If we can find the link, we will tweet from it. And I will. I was showing the guys earlier, just before we get into all this. Brent Burns' beard. I'm gonna rate that from our account so you guys can see it. It is amazing. Dan, Tyler Myers.
Nope.
Who wants Tyler
I'm done.
Myers?
You're done? Okay. Let's go.
He's on the trade block, but apparently they're asking for a lot because they don't want to look silly in case he turns into the defenseman he's supposed to be.
Well, the one team that keeps coming to mind every time I hear Tyler
Detroit.
Myers is
Philip-
Detroit. But back in the
Detroit.
summer, Detroit.
They need a cornerstone defenseman.
and a
I mean,
right-handed shot, nonetheless. Is he right-handed?
Yes,
I
he
don't
is.
know.
Yeah, he is.
Tyler Myers, though, apparently they talked in the summertime, and the first thing that Buffalo said, they were like, or Detroit said, we want Tyler Myers. And Buffalo's like,
Gustav
Anthony,
Nyquist.
nope, Anthony Mantha. They're like, Mantha.
Yeah.
They're like, nope, that's not happening ever. Speaking of,
And the reason-
he still
just-
has a
yeah.
busted hand, right?
The reason
Yeah,
they
he's still
want
Okay.
the reason they want so much is because they
Or a
don't
leg.
Another.
they don't want to look stupid
It's a broken leg.
after the trade. You know what I mean, though, right?
Oh, yeah, they don't want to
In
get
case they
fleeced.
trade him, he becomes a Norris Trophy winner. They don't want to look stupid, so they want something decent back. They're
Well, then why doesn't
they're
he-
also taking calls on Chris Stewart, but they want
Oh, yeah, two young prospects.
they want
though.
two young prospects.
Another interesting thing about.
So Buffalo is in full rebuild mode.
Yeah. Well,
Fun
funny
fact-
how they'd be in full rebuild mode.
Wait,
Okay.
Oh, you go.
No,
No.
you go.
sorry. Me and my stupid facts are gonna ruin this. But Sabres, I was showing the guys earlier. Sabres last year had 156 goals, like the second or like one of the lowest goal totals for a team since like 1967-68. This year, I know it's very early. They're on pace for 82 goals this season. So they're in full rebuild. How you gonna steal Connor McDavid, who played in your arena the other night against Niagara Ice Dogs? The score was 8-4. Connor McDavid had 4 points. And how many points does Connor McDavid have in 10 games now, Greg?
29.
What? 29? Oh, I was looking. His line mate is Dylan Strome.
Yes.
Because Ryan Strome is the NHL.
Yeah, Ryan Strome is in New York.
Dylan Strome had I believe, 36 points last year in 60 games played. This season, he is second in scoring behind Ryan Strome behind Dylan Connor McDavid. My God,
wow, you suck.
With I believe 25 points already. So the magic of having a great line mate. Dan,
Do you want me to read you the Connor McDavid standings as they are right now?
of the OHL.
No, of like
The bottom 5 teams, the NHL.
Yeah,
McDavid watch.
Connor
Okay.
McDavid watch 2015.
Fifth, number 5, Edmonton. Number 4, Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Number 3, Colorado. Number 2, Carolina. Number 1, Buffalo.
Oh my
Now,
God!
interesting-
What if Colorado drafted Connor McDavid? What
oh
the hell?
no! Could you imagine they're just tanking?
Let's trade.
Here's
Let's
the
trade
thing.
King
No,
for Landeskog.
hold on. Here's the thing. They've been their start to the season has proven that if they don't have good goaltending, they're not as good as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah.
That's why I
You have
drafted
a great
Bobby
goalie, I'll show you a good team.
Yeah.
And they don't.
Colorado, proof of that.
They don't have a great goalie at the moment,
Now, I have
or defense for that matter.
I have a point to make about the standings, but first, on Cam's point about Dylan Strome, last season had 60 games played, 39 points with 10 goals.
Okay.
This season, 10 games played, 7 goals, 18 assists for 25 points.
Oh wow.
Plus 17 last year. He's already a plus 15 this year.
You know who Connor McDavid's linemate was last year, who's doing quite well this year in the NHL? Andre Burakovsky, Washington Capitals.
Oh.
That guy. I love these new kids. They got slick mitts. Just sweet mama.
Well, not only that, but like
love it.
they've got Brzezinski. How do you say it? How do you say his name?
Burakowski.
Burakowski. I always think Brzezinski because he was a
call
former
him
Leaf.
Brzezinski.
No.
Andre Burchevsky. Is that what you're thinking
yeah,
of? From
I
Steve
was.
Dangle podcast?
No, and then they've got Evgeny Kuznetsov as well. But the funny thing is about the standings.
They have 3 rookies then. Michael Latta too.
Yeah.
Oh mama. That's awesome.
Washington could be good, especially considering that Ovi's a nice little +0 right now.
Barry Trotz too.
He's even.
He's a +0.
Guys, best plus minus in the Jets right now.
Like positive or negative you're talking?
Best
So
plus
ni-
minus.
so plus.
Plus.
I want to guess.
Guess.
Uh,
Normally has the worst plus minus on the team.
Dustin Bufflin.
Chris Thorburn.
Dustin Bufflin.
Damn. What's the plus minus?
+2.
+2 before last game. He scored a goal last game.
So
Guess who has the worst?
Jacob Trouba.
Zach Bogosian.
Andrew Ladd -5.
Oh, that's not terrible.
Not
It's
Terrible,
not
but
the greatest.
-5 in 6 games, which means he's on for 1 more goal against every game than he is on for.
Interesting.
That's true. That sucks.
A team that is in 24th right now is a team that a lot of people pick to be their Stanley Cup favorites. The St. Louis Blues.
It's yeah.
It's early.
How many games did they play?
6 now. They have the same amount of games as the Jets.
Their record was 2-3-1.
Wait, they're in
2-3.
24th?
They're in 24th.
And we're in 26th?
Yeah.
Guys, we're sitting pretty.
We're
As
in
long as we suck
we're
more
in
than
27.
St. Louis cannot have Connor.
Guys.
No.
There's
early.
3 teams in the Central Division that are in the bottom 20 or bottom 6 in the league. Who would have guessed that?
Okay, I'm gonna read you the top.
Jamie Benn is just amazing.
I'm gonna read you the top 10 teams
Could
in
you
the
imagine
league.
if Dallas
Oh, no.
traded for? Sorry, if Dallas if Dallas traded and somehow got like a first round pick from someone, if they're like, yeah, here you go, here's a prospect, like they give up. Who do they draft this year?
Julius Honka.
Yeah, they give up
never-
Honka for a first round pick, and that first round pick turns into the first overall, and they got Connor McDavid on their team too.
They take Jack Eichel.
You think so?
No,
No.
I'm lying.
Yeah.
No, they maybe would swap it for like second or third and take Noah Hannafin, the defenseman, because they need D.
I know, but I'm just saying, could you
Connor
imagine
McDavid with Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin and Spezza and Hemsky and Alex Chiasson. Oh,
And no, Chiasson got traded
Dallas.
to Ottawa in
Yeah, he's
the
not there
Spezza
anymore,
trade.
man.
Who's
It's
the- who-
Nichushkin.
no, who's the French guy on Dallas?
Garbett? No.
Garbage from Winnipeg.
Oh, Chiasson's on Ottawa.
Now, but he was on
No, I know,
Dallas
but who
last
the
year.
hell? There's a French guy on Dallas. Because when Philly played Dallas, it was the first time ever that 2 French national team players played against each other in the NHL. Because Flyers have Antoine Antoine. He's 78. He's also. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Don't have his actual name.
Yeah.
Here's the reason I say it's fine to analyze teams now, and like the media is doing it, but it's wrong to jump on a team and say that they're going to be bad or they're going to be good based on how many games they've played.
Because
Pittsburgh's 3-2-1, and they're in 20th.
Yeah.
They're above it's okay.
is anyone undefeated?
Top 10 teams.
We'll find out. Right
Nashville's the only team that hasn't lost in regulation. Every other team's
Whoa! So
but I
they
mean,
have 12
Kate,
points?
you look at the top 10. Calgary's in 5th. They'll be bottom 5 in the league probably by the end of the year.
I'm willing to counter argue that. Definitely.
Okay, sorry.
Bottom 10.
Bottom 10 for sure.
Bottom 10. Johnny Gaudreau is awesome. I like that.
Is he getting sent back? They said they thought they were going to
Johnny Gaudreau?
No,
You can't
there's
send
no
him
way.
back. He's an NCAA.
to AHL. During the Jets game,
he's had a point in the last 3 games.
I know.
so
I'm
I
just
can't
saying.
say.
When I was watching the Jets game, they were saying that he's been decent, but as it stood, they were probably going to send him back. But he had 2 really good games since then. So
Get out of town, Dennis.
But I mean,
What
like,
you talk about?
Ottawa's 11th. They probably won't finish that high.
Fun fact about
Columbus
Ottawa.
is 12th. They probably won't finish that high. Like, I mean,
Just about Ottawa and how
It's-
we were talking about Johnny Gaudreau, rookies. Curtis Lazar's moving in with the Phillips family, so he's probably going to stay in the NHL. So, goodbye gold for Team Cat. Just kidding. We're getting gold.
To your point,
Come on
Antoine Roussel.
Antoine Roussel, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, what else are we missing?
another defenseman that's on the block is Adam Larson.
For New Jersey?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, did you round out the top 10 already?
No, I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
I mean,
It's just at the start of the year, guys get hot
okay,
starts.
top
and
10 right now
favorable-
goes Anaheim, Montreal, Nashville, LA. Okay, those teams could all be in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Nashville, I didn't think they would be, but they've looked good.
Mhm.
Then Calgary, probably not. Islanders should be. Detroit should be. Chicago's 8th. Chicago's 4-1-1, and they're 8th. Like, that's why I say don't put too much stock into it. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. No, I
We
understand.
will continue
You know,
the McDavid Watch 2015
in-
every episode.
Talking in 20, 25 games, and you'll start to get a better picture.
You know what's crazy though is you could have Duchesne, Landeskog, McDavid, McKinnon on the same team and Ryan O'Reilly.
They're not going to be able to afford all those guys.
You could have a line of Matt Duchesne, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid.
You could.
They still don't have a good goalie or good or
You know
or
what?
They still have don't have a good goalie or a good defense though.
Guys, let's look at their
Uh,
goalie
they're
could turn it
go-
around. Their defense, they'd probably make a trade.
Defense
Something.
that needs some work.
You guys, there's a conspiracy theory going on in Colorado right now that just clicked in my head right now, so I'm starting it here first.
They like people with the backs. Mix.
They like players who have a 9 in their number. Look at all their best players. O'Reilly, 90.
I'm done.
Landeskog,
I'm done.
92.
I'm done.
McDavid, potentially, 97. Nathan McKinnon, 29. Matt Duchesne, 9. What's happening on the 9th? You let us in. Wait, what's
Their
the
best
next
franchise player, Joe Sakic,
19! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
We're gonna end the podcast on that. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Twitter at LastManNPC and check our email out. You know.